I was there, but I don't know who shot who. Okay. I love this girl. All right. I would never do such a thing to hurt her ever. Because this is the love of my life right here. We'll get back together. We just fighting right now. Don't worry about it. You understand. It's a couple things. Okay? It's a couple things. That's what love is. Sometimes with love, you just smack each other around and shoot each other in the face. What's popping, gang? We here back with another video. Hey man, listen, y'all seen the thumbnail, y'all seen the title, and yes, my boy is a TikToker and he shot his own girlfriend. Bro, what in the world you have to go through to shoot your own girlfriend? They say that he shot her in the head in the Duba Alagala. We'll see what he really did because does that you have to result to that? Hey, fellas, no physical violence, man. She gonna do what she gonna do. Let her do what she gonna do. Don't try to stop her. Guess he had to pull out a gun to stop her. But let's go ahead and find out what this TikToker did. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Let's go ahead and get to it. She already called it. She already called it. She said you don't look. My bad, my bad. Yeah.
These two seem like many of the couples we see on social media, who chronicle their relationship for hundreds of thousands, even millions of viewers.
You want to marry me?
Yeah, are you asking me to marry you right now?
Give her about 3, baby, even 4, and she gonna want to marry your neck.
You gonna marry me?
Yes. We're married.
Okay. I'm just playing, but I never marry your side. I love you though.
No, you don't.
I love you.
No, you don't.
I like to wake up in the morning, roll over and look at you and be like,
So this is Ladarius Brownlee, who online was known as Dino, and this was his girlfriend Saida Hashimi, known online as Zara. Now they seem like a typical social media couple, right? Well, they were until last July when they made headlines. And not for their content they put out to their 150,000 followers on TikTok, but because Ladarius was accused of shooting Zara in the face. But his punishment might not be what you'd expect. I'm Elizabeth Milner for Law and Crime News.
In the face. He's trying to ruin her face. He like, hey, I don't want you to look good out here in these streets. You are not going to look good out here in these streets. Who you think you flying that butt for? I paid for that butt and that facelift. What you doing? You over here tell the other guys that you want to see them? You get my gun. I don't like this.
News. Now it's a crazy jump from making fun social media videos.
this is why I hate going shopping with motherfuckers.
Wait, stop it.
Motherfuckers want to stop it. Every stop. I'm talking about every last one of them.
No, I'm never taking you shopping again.
Nah, I'm not taking you shopping no more.
Show them what you got.
Then motherfuckers come here to get out of goddamn Christmas tree. Like, man, when I got this damn Christmas tree for my room, finna make me mad.
I am never
Piss
going
me
with
off.
you anywhere again because you do not let me buy what I want to buy.
Because you just be spending money on nothing.
Because I'm over here trying to shop and make the house cute.
This shopping right here.
We have to
okay.
feed the hungry.
Ah, okay. There you go.
Thank you so much.
To being locked up, right? So let me explain. Now, most of us spend the 4th of July enjoying a day off of work, watching the fireworks, pretty much enjoying all that comes out of the holiday. And it seemed like Ladarius and Zara were doing the same. That is until Ladarius called 911 to allegedly confess to shooting his girlfriend. According to Flower Mound police, the two were in a heated argument when they were walking back from the Flower Mound 4th of July Independence Fest. The fight reportedly turned physical, and Ladarius ordered Zara to go into the back of the SUV. From there, the fight only continued.
Man, get in the back of the SUV. Get in the back of the SUV. I'm sick of this. But what did she have to fight so hard about with this guy? Like, what was so bad that my man's had to go crazy and smack her up in the SUV? Like, I'm sure she what she do? She called you a nigga? She called you a nigga, didn't she? She said, "Oh, you think you hot shit, nigga." You said, "I ain't no nigga. You ain't gonna call me that. Didn't I tell you when we first got together you wasn't gonna call me that? Oh, you think this a game, huh? You think you playing jigsaw, huh? Huh? Get in the back of that Sprinter. I'm sick of this."
But it took a turn when Ladarius allegedly pulled out his tan Glock firearm from the driver's door and fired it. A bullet hit Zara right above her right eye. By the time officers arrived, they found her lying on the ground outside of the car. Ladarius, for his part, didn't leave or try to flee and stayed there. And given that he called 911 allegedly admitting to shooting his girlfriend, officers arrested him. Meanwhile, Zara was rushed to the hospital.
Man, this hood nigga. Why did he get out the car? Why did he go in the driver's side and grab a Glock? Did he need a Glock for this girl? Like, she was legit whooping your ass that bad, you had to pull out your Glock and shoot your own girlfriend in the face? Did she die?
With
Just to skit?
life-threatening injuries. Initially, her status was unclear, but thankfully, she survived. As for
Hey.
Ladarius, he was booked and charged with aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury and deadly conduct discharging a firearm. So that was back in July of 2024. Now, 7 months later, a stunning turn in the case. Ladarius pleaded guilty to the shooting, but that's not what's stunning. He avoided a jury trial and even prison time by entering his guilty plea. Instead, he just received probation. So that agreement happened all
He must have had a good lawyer. Probation for shooting a white woman in the face? Well, she like black guys, so she pretty much changed a little bit, but come on, man.
all just last week. And he was released from jail last week too, where he's been since his arrest in July. Now, according to online records, Ladarius is prohibited from having a gun or ammunition. However, it's unclear if part of his probation includes that he's prohibited from speaking with Zara. But while their joint account is still up on TikTok, on their respective pages, it seems like they've scrubbed each other from those accounts. Let's break this down now with criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Florina Altschiller. Florina, thank you so much for joining me today. Before we get into this sentence, I gotta ask, what's your reaction to this case overall?
It's egregious anytime somebody is shot in the face, right? That's pretty horrific. But when we look at things globally and when we have more facts and understand what led up to the altercation, what was his intent? Did he mean to shoot her in the face? Was he trying to kill her? Was this an accidental discharge of the weapon during an argument?
So, if it's accidental, I mean, why would you even pull it out anyway, my boy? Like, there's no reason why you should be pulling out a strap on a woman. All right, you got cleared with probation and all that. But you shot a woman in the face, and that's accidental. Did the gun fall on the ground and the bullet just hit her face?
There's a lot of questions that are raised. And I think as we better understand those facts, there's mitigating circumstances that could lead to a plea deal. And other times there's aggravating circumstances that lead to a harsher sentence or no plea deal at all. So we really, on its face, it sounds horrific. It sounds shocking. I don't understand how anyone can get away with no jail time when you shoot somebody in the face, right? Like there's just no explanation. But when we look more globally and understand more of the facts, potentially there could be an explanation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to ask, in your opinion, is there
Explanation.
any room for arguing this might have been an accident, or do you think that the shooting was intentional?
Right. And so I think there must have been facts that the district attorney's office had access to that suggested that either this was in self defense or that this was an accidental discharge of a weapon, and that he didn't mean to shoot her in the face in order to get to a place where he gets a plea deal that's effectively assault and a probation sentence. I just don't see how you get there if he intended to shoot her, did shoot her, and shot her in the face.
Man, I didn't mean to shoot her, man. I was just holding the gun. She charged at me. I just shot on accident. My bad, man. Look, I don't know what happened there. Y'all gotta clean that up. I don't know who did what. All right. I was there, but I don't know who shot who. Okay. I love this girl. All right. I would never do such a thing to hurt her ever. Because this is the love of my life right here. We'll get back together. We just fighting right now. Don't worry about it. You understand. It's a couple things. Okay? It's a couple things. That's what love is. Sometimes with love, you just smack each other around and shoot each other in the face. That's just how it's supposed to be. That's how you know you really love somebody when you shoot them in the face. Mm.
And I have a kind of a two-part question for you. Are you surprised that Ladarius Brownlee pleaded guilty? And second, my second question to you is, are you surprised at his sentence, probation? I mean, this is Texas. A weapon was involved, a firearm was discharged. I was possibly as shocked as you were that the ultimate sentence ended up being probation and no jail time.
Well, with a sentence that sweet, I imagine there was a commitment by the judge to a sentence of probation, and that would have been the reason that he pled guilty. Any client under those circumstances with that sweet a plea deal should plead guilty because the exposure is state prison time, and significant state prison time. So why risk that when you have a plea deal that's to probation? Now, I will say a probation plea deal is not that rare for somebody where this is their first felony. So they don't have a criminal record for felonies, they don't have any history of violence. This is the first one. And there's other mitigating circumstances. So, mitigating circumstances about the case itself, like we discussed, perhaps there was something to suggest that this was an accidental discharge of the weapon, and mitigating circumstances about.
Mm, mm. She was in that car whooping his ass. He scraped them my man's up, but does that have to result in getting a weapon though? Really? Do you really have to go and get a gun? This woman was a little bit bigger than you, stronger than you. What? She threw you around the car a little bit? Man, you gotta get your muscles up, man. Something. You gotta eat your Wheaties or your Raisin Bran because if you gotta do all this and shoot a woman in the face, you don't need no woman at all. You need to just go in a cave and be by yourself. All right. All right.
The defendant. So things like if there's, and I'm not saying that there is in this case, but these are things that would be considered: military service history, employment history, children that they are supporting. And so the thought is you're going to put them in prison, take them away from their children, away from their job, and remove financial support to children. I'm not saying that
Get
criminals
my boy
shouldn't go to
this.
prison because they have kids that they support. But what I'm saying is, in situations where this is a first felony, there's a history of being a good parent and financially providing for their children, and there's no reason to believe that this is kind of a course of conduct that would repeat itself. Judges are inclined to at least consider probation in situations like that. And of course, in Texas, as in every state, they're bound by the parameters of the sentencing guidelines, and they can't go outside of that. So, if the sentencing guidelines allow for probation, even if that's the lowest sentence possible, but if they allow for it, then it's really not outrageous if a judge sentences somebody to that when the sentencing guidelines afford it.
And I do also want to kind of clarify something I mentioned. I said no jail time, and that's kind of inaccurate because he was in jail from July up until last week when he was released from custody. Going back to last July, though, police say that Ladarius stayed on the scene after Zara was lying there on the ground outside of that car. He also called 911. In a weird way, do you think that worked in his favor when it came down to this plea deal?
Yes, I believe so. Because if he didn't call and he ran, they probably would have gave him the slammer. But since he called and sound merciful and that he didn't believe that he did it and he don't want to go to jail, that's pretty much it worked out in his favor. If he didn't do it, they probably would took him down. His ring would have been over with. But got more time to be out and do what he need to do. But fellas, don't pick up a gun and point it at a woman just because she whoop your ass. You gotta whoop her ass back. No, I'm kidding. Don't hit a woman. But you just leave. All right. Just leave the situation, cool off, come back, and then go ahead and talk about it. Because it doesn't have to get that extreme that you have to pick up your gun, cock it back, point it at the person, or point it at the person, cock it back, and tell them to back up until you have to fire at them. That shouldn't even be the case, but I'm sure her family and friends ain't too happy with you, my boy.
Yeah, that's a fact that again suggests, first of all, remorse. Second of all, that maybe he really didn't mean to cause her the injury that he caused her. It's possible, and again, I don't know all of the facts, but it's possible, especially in a state like Texas, where the district attorney's office is pretty harsh and pretty strong on criminals and crime, right? It suggests to me that there was more information, that their case was not that strong on the question of intent, that they couldn't prove that he meant to shoot her in the face. And that's really egregious, right? Like, who shoots somebody in the face? You've got to think that they wanted to kill the person. And so I think under these circumstances, there was an argument, there was a weapon involved, not good facts, but that weapon perhaps discharged accidentally into her face, which is horrific. But in order to prove the higher level crime, they would have to prove that he meant to discharge that weapon into her face.
Mm.
And it's possible the facts were lacking there.
Her face not gonna look.
Absolutely, because again, right in the right eye, just right here is just, it feels on its face just very personal, very intentional. But again, we don't know all of what the
These pictures,
prosecution
though.
or even the defense has to kind of counter that. As a former prosecutor, though, how much does a victim have in as far as their say goes in any type of deal that's made between the prosecutors and the defense? So, for instance, in this case, Zara, do you think that she had any say in this plea deal?
That's a great question. Most district attorneys' offices, and of course, all district attorneys' offices function a little bit differently, but most district attorneys' offices consider what the victim has to say. And they consider the victim's wishes
Dumbass
in
already took her
offering
ass.
plea deals.
See his
There are
face.
times where the district attorney's office will not offer any plea because the victim is so staunchly against it. And then, in terms of sentencing recommendations, again, they take into consideration what the victim wants, whether the victim is looking for prison time or if the victim is okay with probation. Or sometimes, depending on the crime, the victim would suggest something like, well, this person needs alcohol treatment or drug treatment or an anger management program. And those are things, so long as they're within the sentencing guidelines for the crime to which the defendant is pleading, the district attorney's office would consider recommending. It also suggests to me in this case that perhaps this victim was either not cooperative with prosecuting this, in other words, was not interested in testifying. And
Yeah, she probably want to snitch on him. She was like, I love him. We were just playing, sports playing, and he didn't mean to do that. He loved me too. I guess she didn't want to ruin him because if she did, she could have used her white woman card and went crazy on this man. I'm talking about put him under the jail for shooting her in the face. Yes, get him. He's a danger. Can't deal with him anymore. That was she should have did. But hey, everybody have their own reason. I can't say she should have did anything, but hey, if my daughter got shot in the face, you better snitch on that man. Cause if not, I'm gonna have to go see about him. And he can't have a gun. Yes, I'm gonna go talk to him real quick. I'm gonna see if he gonna use his hand. I got a knife in my pocket.
having this go forward to trial, which would mean the DA's office would need to offer a better plea deal because they didn't have a strong case if they have an uncooperative victim, or cooperating in the sense that she wanted him to get the plea deal that he did get ultimately. And when those things line up the way they potentially did here, this is the end result.
And it's interesting that you bring that up too, because, on its face, to me, it did feel initially when this story had first come out last year, it did feel like, a domestic violence situation that kind of escalated. And so from that, my question to you is, what is it like kind of dealing with, interpersonal relationships or, boyfriend girlfriend relationship, something terrible and illegal happens. In this case, the shooting happens. And then you have one side who may love the person who committed this crime towards them, but is still kind of apprehensive as pursuing these types of charges as if, a difference would be a stranger or something like that. But how difficult is it when you have these domestic violence or domestic partner type relationships? A victim used to be in a relationship with the person who is committing this egregious type of act on them.
These are the most delicate cases to handle from all sides because they're volatile situations. And judges are often very concerned that if they are lenient with a defendant who's accused of a violent crime in the domestic violence situation, that they're going to not only be a repeat offender, but that the next time they will kill that person. And so there's always a concern with releasing the person. Most of the time, especially with a felony level assault that's domestic violence, defendants end up staying in custody. They get remanded or they have very high bail. And so they're staying in jail, waiting for the case to resolve however it may resolve. Whereas if it's a stranger on stranger assault, most of the times the person makes bail, they have low bail, or sometimes they're even just released because there's not a concern with a stranger on stranger situation that the defendant is going to go back and attack that person yet again. With domestic violence situations, it is commonly known that there's a cycle. There's a cycle of violence. There's this love period, and then there's violence. And
That love bomb. It's like, baby, you know I love you. But I would never ever put my hands on you again. You told me you would never hit me, Jody. I'm sorry, baby. I won't do it again. Just don't call me a nigger no more. All right. I didn't like that. I didn't like how you was putting your hands in my face and you was smacking me around and you telling me that we ain't cool like that. You know you love me, girl. Why you acting like that? Because next time,
then it goes back to this love period. And then there's violence again. And that cycle doesn't have a set period of time. So sometimes things could be great. There could be this honeymoon stage for months.
I'm gonna let y'all know something. Not to keep pausing, but that's true. Because in domestic violence situations, people that abuse themselves when it's on the up and up, they are up. I'm talking about everything is great. The love is there. It feel like they just met each other yesterday. They can't keep their hands off each other. But that also can cause some friction because when they're doing bad, they also can't keep their hands off each other. As you can see, my boy went so passionate, and I'm sure he was deep in his emotions, and he didn't reel himself back in before she was. Cause I'm sure she was not innocent. I'm sure she was talking her shit too, egging him on, things like that. But that was too extreme, my boy. You didn't have to go over and beyond and pull out your Glock and shoot her in the face. Like, what she had to say that make you so upset that you had to go and get your gun out the glove box? You had to get your gun out the glove box. It wasn't even on your person. That's my thing. I'm trying to get a better understanding of what's going on because it seems like y'all love each other, and when it's going good, it's going great. But when it's going bad, and somebody's might be getting abused, and it might be you, nigga.
Even a year. And then suddenly there's that outburst of violence. And the violence keeps escalating. So sometimes it's just words. Next time it might be a push or a shove or a slap. And eventually it boils into potentially one partner killing the other partner.
Mm.
And that's where it's really volatile and really concerning. And many times judges are afraid that they're going to release somebody on something that's maybe just a misdemeanor assault, a push, a shove, a slap. They release them back out of custody, and that person who did something that wasn't as egregious as shooting somebody in the face, right? Maybe just a shove, a push, a slap. And then they show up at the person's house and they shoot them in the
And then they shoot him in the face, right? That was just gonna say. Let me just stop you there. They did. They show up with flowers and a Glock. Then they shoot you in the face. It's love, lust, lead.
face and kill them. And that is every judge's worst nightmare. That's every prosecutor's worst nightmare. That's everybody's worst nightmare. We don't want victims of domestic violence killed. That is horrific. So, in cases of domestic violence, there is always that threat, always that concern. The problem is not everybody who gets into an argument or a fight in a domestic violence situation goes back and kills their partner. But the concern is always there. And so it's a balancing question, and it's a real delicate balancing question, right? How harsh can we be on people accused of domestic violence to make sure that the victims are protected from death? And are we making sure at the same time?
Oh, look at that. Look at that. You can already see they be hitting on each other. Look at y'all seen that? She swung on his ass. I mean, that's why he got some scrapes and bruises. He was scraping and scrambling for shit, and she was whooping his ass in that car. That car was rocking, and not in a good way. Because it seems like, and I'm just getting observation like you guys, but it seems like when they get into an argument, she start to get in his face and get all huff and puff, and we want to blow that house down and put hands on his ass. She want to put hands and feet on his ass, and then he had to go ahead and get the strap. That was the only way. He was like, "I get you off me, help, help me, please."
Protected from death.
Look at this. Look.
And are we making sure at the same
Ooh.
time to protect their rights, because these are people
He
who
started
are
swinging on his
presumed
ass. See, they try to
innocent
make it funny.
until they're convicted of a crime. And the US justice system presumes anyone accused of a crime as being innocent. So do we just hold them in jail for 6, 7, 10, 12 months until they have their day in court and trial simply because they were accused of domestic violence, because we're afraid that they're going to go back out there and kill their partner? And there is no good answer, right? You're going to err on either imprisoning innocent people or letting guilty people go free. There's going to be mistakes being made, and neither answer is a good answer. We don't want guilty people going free, and we certainly don't want guilty people going free and reoffending. But at the same time, we don't want innocent people sitting in jail because we're so afraid that guilty people will go free. But it's an imperfect system, and there's really not a good answer.
Absolutely. And I think also, from this case, it feels like we're seeing, a lot of more couples this way. And when I say that, I mean, content creator couples, they make a following, kind of chronicling their
I've been seeing that lately. Have y'all noticed? Is it the stress of being a content creator? Because a lot of stories come out just like this. Like the whole situation with DDG and Haley Bailey. I mean, it it came out just like that abuse, but at one point they loved each other. Where did it go wrong? Where did the abuse come in at it? What was it all through the relationship? Towards the end? What was it? Because now it seems like everybody's getting hit with abuse. And not saying that that's not happening, but just saying what is the stress of social media and this camera doing to couples that they just have to put hands and feet on each other, or they have to do emotional abuse, verbal abuse, huh? Like everybody is off their rocker these days. My lesson is don't put your person on camera with you. And if y'all do, just react to some funny videos and that's it. Don't be trying to do all this extra stuff because apparently you going down. All right. And then at the end of your relationship is gonna be abuse. So look out for that. Be careful out here.
relationships.
Protect your
And
neck.
so it appears that if you just saw them based off social media, you would think that they were this loving couple, by all accounts. But what do you make of just kind of what it feels like this rise of social media content creator couples who appear normal on the surface, and then something like this happens where a lot of their followers are just kind of like, "How did this even happen? You guys seemed so loving. You guys seemed like you guys were made for each other," that type of thing. But what do you make of just
Good
this
question.
whole content creation aspect to this case? Because they did chronicle so much on TikTok, on Instagram, at one point even Facebook, I believe. But what do you make of that?
Social media is a lie. Social media is the highlight reel of positives enhanced through this rose colored lens for you to want to watch. It's 10, 15, 20 seconds of happiness, and then the 23 plus hours of the rest of the day you don't see. Nobody is highlighting their struggles, their arguments, their
This pretty much what happened. As soon as they get on camera, yeah, I love you. You love me. We're so happy. Family is awake. Get that kiss from me to you. Wah! I said I love you too. Let's turn that camera off. Get over here. Get over here. You think you wanna Didn't I tell you to say it right, anime? I told you to say it right. Now cut that camera, cut them lights off. You think this a game. Go in that room and stand in the corner. I don't like this one bit. And next time, we're gonna get on here, we gotta look happier. Now, put them shades on and say that we outside. All right. I don't like your tone. All right. All right. How we supposed to keep this going? And you act like you don't want to be here. You act like you don't want to be here. Now act right. Here go the camera again. I love you. You love me. We're so big. Family faces. But y'all in the back. Round one. Trying to.
Flawless victory.
Man, y'all better stop faking. Stop trying to follow these relationship goals and all that because they can be putting hands and feet on each other and you don't even know. You're like, man, I want to be just like this couple. And I'm sure there's a lot of people's like relationship goals and things like that. Is that their relationship goals? Shooting your woman in the face? I don't strive for that goal. I don't want that one. It ain't that serious. Whatever. That's what I'll say. You keep talking, whatever. Keep talking, motherfucker. Keep talking. I don't care. I'm gonna move on. All right. You keep calling me names. Don't worry about it. I got your number, but you don't have to smack her up and shoot her. Just leave. And if you can't leave, you better run like my boy Jonathan Majors. You better run down the street. Let's get back.
fights on social media. They're highlighting the positive for you to click, for you to watch, for you to admire, for you to want to be them. You want to be the things that are positive. You don't want to be the arguments and the struggles and the day to day reality of basically everybody's life, which isn't always all that perfect or easy. So I think we subscribe to these social media reels and we watch them and we watch enough of them that we start believing them. And then we sometimes even wonder, why aren't our lives like the 15 seconds that we just saw of the other people's lives, which we presume must consume the other 23 hours that we're not seeing? That is not reality. It is a lie, and stop subscribing to the lie.
Absolutely. And I have to sometimes tell myself that as well too when I get kind of zoned into my TikTok feed or my Instagram or anything like that. Florina, I want to thank you so much for your insight into this case. Before we sign you off, though, how differently do you think this would have all played out had this case actually gone to trial?
It would have been in the hands of a jury, and people from the community would have been deciding this on the evidence that would have been presented in court. And we really don't know what all of that evidence would have been. And I tell every client, listen, when you have a plea deal, you have a guaranteed end result. You know what you're getting. We can always go to trial. That is your right to go to trial. You have a constitutionally protected right to be judged by a jury of your peers. We don't know who these people are, and we don't know what they're going to think. And it is a risk, and potentially you're looking at being convicted and then the judge sentencing you to the maximum. And so that's a risk that only you can calculate and decide whether or not you want to take. You could get the maximum, you could go free. That's kind of the world of options here. So that you could take that risk, you could go to trial, have the jury decide you're either going free or you're going away for a long time. Or you could take door number 2, which is a known end answer. And it's the plea deal with a sentence that we know the judge has committed to.
My man said, I'm gonna take the plea deal. I'm going to take the plea deal. I don't want no parts of the trial because I know if I go on trial for shooting this white woman, it's over with. It's over with. I'm gonna be buried. And I got all these tattoos on my neck and on my face. They don't think I'm a danger to society. I had a Glock. Oh yeah, man. We smoked a little weed and drinking. Yeah, we gonna definitely be fucked up. I don't even want to deal with that. You know what? I just take my plea deal to get up out of here. Get my probation and everything. That's it. Time served. That's it. That's all I want. That's all I want to do. Man, if y'all like that content, man, that's Law and Crime Network. They have a lot of different stories like this. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Keep looking good, feeling good, and smelling good. And don't let nobody tell you that you can't do nothing. Gang.